First and now, the official BC Lions podcast. Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski back. First week of March. Football's in the air. We've got some game themes to discuss, we think. A lot happening. Nicky, what's going on?
Yeah, checking off another box. We're in March now. We're getting itching closer and closer. The Combine's this month. The draft's next month. So we stuck through it. We're still getting snow here, but we stuck through it, and brighter days are ahead. Spring's on its way.
Yeah, and we wanted to get this episode in because busy week, busy times. I'm off to Vegas. By the time you're listening to this, I will be in Vegas. Looking forward to seeing the Canucks, the first place Vancouver Canucks, for now at least, in the Pacific Division. Golden Knights slipping a little bit.
Yeah, they're all hurt. They got Jack Eichel back yesterday, though, I saw.
Well, they'll do their thing. They'll stash guys on injured reserve and make sure they're all back for the playoffs.
Yeah, Eichel's he's helping my fantasy team. I need him down the stretch here, so they're thinking about me, I think.
There you go. Yeah, Golden Knights leaking oil a little bit. We shall see, but we're not here to talk hockey. We'll do a review episode next week. We'll go over. I'm going to go to all the hot spots you just went. There's a Mexican restaurant, Moj Lake, I think.
Yeah, you got to hit him up for that one.
I'll text him for that info. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm sure they appreciate the plug, whomever they are. But we'll talk about Mexican food later in our Go For It or Punt segment. So
you got something dialed up, yeah?
I got something dialed up. But yeah, a lot's happening. And Grey Cup Festival sponsors announced some cool festival initiatives. We'll get into all that in a little bit. But wanted to take a moment here to once again tribute our good friend Craig Rowe passing away after a courageous battle with cancer. His wife Chelsea announcing that last week. You, of course, know Craig more as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, probably. Went over there for 2018-19, part of that first Grey Cup championship team in 2019. And he was one of the guys, he suited up here for 3 years previous to that. And yeah, never forget, I started working for this club in 2016. And period of time, you went through this, I'm sure, when you're still nervous a little bit when you're first starting around the players. You're around the team every day. You're on the bus, on the road, on the plane, at the hotel. But Craig, for me, was one of those guys who really kind of helped ease that transition. I talked to him for interviews and articles a couple of times. Just a very good, down-to-earth and smart guy to talk to. It's no wonder he was pursuing the coaching thing. Had done a great job with his online tutorials for young defensive linemen, and guy was a Michigan Wolverine, so you don't get into the University of Michigan without at least knowing what you're doing. So 64 tackles, 20 sacks in 45 games, and yeah, condolences to Chelsea, his wife, as mentioned. Young son Max, very sad as well. So 33 years old, gone too soon.
Way too soon, yeah. And he was obviously a very effective CFL player in his 5 seasons here, almost recording or having almost 7 sacks a season, right? And he used that, like you said, him being a smart player, he definitely used that knowledge to form D-line tips. And that's something that I frequently saw on my social media. I know I followed him on Twitter. And where he piled up, he had over 58,000 followers on Twitter, over 125,000 on Instagram. So he was giving out essentially free game, is what it's pretty much called now, and helping D linemen throughout North America, kind of fine tune their pass rush skills, all kinds of skills when it comes to being a defensive lineman. So it's really unfortunate that his life was taken way too soon, and just wishing all the best for their family.
R.I.P. to Mr. Craig Rowe. He will be missed. A tough transition, but we did mention there is a lot happening right now. It is March, and it's getting closer. We're a couple weeks out from the Combine. We'll talk to BC Lions defensive coach Tanya Henderson about all the great things she's doing, continuing to blaze the trail for young women in sport, not just football. Tanya in a few minutes' time. And always love talking with Tanya about the BC Lions and everything that she's got going on, entering year 3 as a member of the coaching staff. But we announced our game themes earlier this week. 10 games, at least, at BC Place. Plenty of the same elements coming back. A few new smaller things being sprinkled in. Hard to get really excited about this right now, but once it happens, everyone will see again, we're taking another step as far as our great game presentation, backyard party presented by BCLC and Molson Coors, $5 drinks out on the concourse, Terry Fox. All of that is returning. But we're going to announce the concert kickoff probably in the next month and a half. Hopefully, you never know, because that'll be June 15th. Very interested to see what artists we bring. Who do you want to see?
You're putting me on the spot here.
Well, that's what we do.
Ooh, I'm a hip hop guy. Get Rod Wave here. I know the guys would love that. Or like,
yeah.
I don't know if that'd be good for the crowd.
I think the two biggest Rod Wave fans have moved on, right?
Unfortunately, yeah. But it still has quite a big presence in our room.
Yeah.
This is me though. If I was just hoping for who I would want, maybe like a little baby. I don't know. Get like a hip hop angle to it again. I know maybe LL Cool J last year, but that's selfishly me saying that. I know. What angle you would go.
I want Nickelback. I think I said.
Oh, I would love that too. I would love that too.
I know Nickelback tends to come here quite often already, but not that matters. Nickelback, let's make it happen. Let's get Moj to contact Chad Kroger and broker a deal.
Be very well received too. But I think just based off all the themes that were announced,
it's our second Moj drop in 4 minutes. What are we doing?
Yeah, getting his royalties. I think out of all the themes, though, again, the concert kickoff, that stuck out to me. There's on the graphic there, it says major performer announcement coming soon. So that makes me excited. It's only March. We're recording this on March 5th, and that makes me excited already, just seeing that. And I think I got to shout out Touchdown Pacific again. That's one where the theme was already determined beforehand and announced. But I'm just getting so excited for that game. We're already having meetings surrounding content about that game. So those two stand out for me.
Yeah, the stadium build is going to happen in the summertime, and we'll document everything that we can with that. Looking forward to it. Okay, I'll give you two here. Despite the fact that it wasn't the result we wanted and it really put a dent in our Grey Cup hopes, really, I loved the Gravy Bowl last year. It's going to be a week before Thanksgiving, October 4th, a second visit from Calgary, so who knows? I should probably have some big playoff implications there. Turkey-themed tailgate parties, turkey carving, turkey eating perhaps, stuffing. The Gravy Bowl's back. For a lot of reasons I like it, again, mainly because it's crunch time. Once October hits, it really starts to feel like the playoff races are heating up. And I'm going to go Legends Night, Friday, September 13th. We will announce more specifics at a later date, but the Wall of Fame induction, it's an era that's very near and dear to my heart that might be featured in the Wall of Fame. And as we announced, a third jersey. So you can probably read between the lines on the third jersey. So for a bunch of reasons, I like Legends Night as well.
Yeah, a bunch of exciting stuff coming, and it's a massive year. We've talked about this already, and that just puts a little sprinkle on top of all the excitement that's to come.
And then we encourage everyone to head to bclions.com for a full rundown of the game themes, as well as some elements with the 2024 Grey Cup Festival. We were at the Convention Center last week. Commissioner Randy Ambrosi was in attendance, as was our owner, Amar Doman. Riley Witchar rolling out some of the big plans as far as partners. And we're calling that our first quarter kickoff announcement. Second quarter probably going to come just before training camp. Some other elements, a possible, speaking of music, concert series could be part of these future announcements for mid-November in downtown Vancouver. But I think the number one thing that came out of last week, and people are still talking about it, not one, but two zip lines. One over the water. You going to do this zip line? I might have to.
I'm hoping I'm too busy to do the zip line. That's the fair thing I'll say. But I think we're already kind of.
We hope we're going to be in football mode.
So absolutely. I hope I don't do it, but I was already trying to get the likes of Farhan Lalji to maybe do a live hit on the zip line, maybe get the Moj on there for some content, see his reaction, all that. Maybe get Moj and Julio crossing each other on the two zip lines. I think that'd be cool. So
get Dwayne up there.
Yeah, pressure's on.
Yeah,
showed some guys out.
And that was for Vancouverites and British Columbians. That was a big feature of the Olympic Festival here in 2010. I don't remember much of the 2010 Olympics. It was kind of a foggy 2 weeks for me. I don't remember any zip lines. But the 2010 and 2018, I think Grey Cups in Edmonton also featured it. So Grey Cup is always special. And as of this moment, become a BC Lions season ticket holder. And That'll be your easiest way to get hands on tickets for the 111th Grey Cup at BC Place, November 17th. 8 months away.
It's coming.
Coming. Yes, we're into March, like we've talked about. Zip lines and parties and everything. It's all going to take place at the convention center, Lions Den, Ryderville, whatever your party is. I think even the Spirit of Edmonton's going to be under the same roof. Usually those guys are separate. So a little kind of a new wrinkle to be excited for. Again, all the info, bclions.com, Grey Cup Festival website, 2024, greycupfestival.ca. All right, we're going to speak with Lions defensive assistant and assistant defensive backs coach. Bit of a title change. Tanya Henderson coming up on First and Now. And we have tracked down Tanya Henderson, BC Lions defensive assistant. Also will be working closely with the defensive backs, a bit more closely anyway, as she has a hand in pretty much every positional group on the Lions defense. Tanya, thanks for joining us here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, always. It's been a while, and, we're recording this. It's the first week of March. Really, it's kind of spring is in the air, which means training camp's just around the corner, but tell us what you've been up to there in North Van. How's the off-season been?
I mean, spring is in the air is a loose term for a day that I woke up and it was -4 and frosty.
Yeah.
It's very much still winter, I feel like. But the sun is out, which is beautiful. North Van, amazing. Spending a lot of time with my dog outside. I'm training right now for a race that I am running this weekend. So it's been a wonderful off season of just activity and relaxation and just kind of, getting some time to myself.
Yeah, you're from Alberta. This cold weather, -4, that should be nothing though, right?
I've very much desensitized, and now -4 is a bit much for me.
Just like this guy here, he's not a Winnipeg guy anymore. He's full on West Coast.
I was gonna say I was in the snow on the weekend and I was loving it. I felt like a little kid again. But
yeah, well, he was in our group chat. He's, hey, it's snowing. It's snowing. It's like, yeah, you're right.
It's rare
I can look out the window. Yeah, no, just giving you a hard time. Hey, tell us more about this race. You're off to Utah, is it? 50 kilometers? What the heck? What's going on? That sounds awesome.
I'm doing an ultramarathon, or a stage race ultramarathon. So it's in Moab, Utah. So I fly out tomorrow morning, but it's there's 3 different days. I run on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the 50K is broken up over 3 days. It's similar to a race I did a couple of years ago called the Golden Ultra. But this one's in Moab and the Red Rocks and the sun. So I'm really excited to get out there and get it done.
Good for you. What's speaking of weather, what's the outlook? What's the temperature going to be there?
It still gets into the minuses at night, like it is the desert, but it looks like the daytime is 15, 16 degrees. So nothing too crazy, which is probably ideal for running, especially after not really being in the warmth for the winter season. So.
Well, good for you. That's awesome. Seen your Instagram stories posting about all those crazy runs you're doing. Figured you were up to something. That's excellent. Before I turn it over to Nikki here, I touched on it briefly. You're going to be working a bit more with the defensive backs this year. Just talk about that heading into year 3 all of a sudden. But is the day-to-day going to change for you at all? What does that entail?
Day-to-day will be very similar. The only thing is that rather than bouncing around between all of the positional groups, I'll be with the DBs all year, which I'm really excited for. Just it's been wonderful to be kind of around everything and really get to see full scope of what's going on, but to finally be able to just really lock into a positional group I'm looking forward to. I know I'll be a little bit more involved in meetings and presenting things and talking game and all of that. So I'm looking forward to that.
You're obviously keeping busy in the off season, like we just touched on, but are you just wanting the season to start already, or are you enjoying the off season process and getting ready for the 2024 season?
Very much December, January, and the beginning of February, you're hey, this is cool. This is nice. It's gonna get to relax, but you start to kind of get the itch as the draft comes around, and the combine for me is kind of the pinnacle piece of that because I'm like, oh yeah, football, like we're really back in it, getting to, get back in with players. So I'm definitely getting to the point where I'm really looking forward to getting back at it.
Now that we're 3 months into the off season, and you mentioned that you're working more closely with the defensive backs, is there a specific, like, I don't know if task is the right word, but just area that you're looking to focus on from a coaching perspective this off season?
Honestly, for me, like choosing to go with the defensive backs was the furthest thing outside of my comfort zone. Like D line would be in my comfort zone, linebacker, like that's what I played. So it's like familiar to me. But like defensive backs was like, that has an edge, that has some discomfort, that has some like, I don't know everything and there's a lot to learn. So for me, it's really just been like locking into, coverages and how all of that interacts with the rest of the defense and like really trying to own in on like how all of that functions together.
It was obviously a really big deal too when you were hired as the first full-time female coach in the CFL. So have these past 2 seasons, have they been everything you've wished for back when you first joined the staff?
Oh man, that's like a wonderful question. I think like the first year, to be honest, like was such a blur and like it's like I remember some of it, but like at the same time, I remember absolutely nothing. It was just like to be fully in everything and like not even like from the X's and O perspective, but just like how the season goes, how the season functions, how everyone interacts, like learning all of that, which like a player that's coming from being a player to a coach, like they're already privy to all of that. But it was like, not only did I have to learn, obviously, the game at this level, but also just like the environment. So going into year 2 was definitely a lot more comfortable because I didn't have to worry about like all of the behind the scenes stuff. Like, how does everything work? I could just actually focus on football. But going into season 3, I'm actually like, feel like I have kind of everything settled and I know what's going on and like I'm a lot more like comfortable and confident with being here. But it's definitely like it's been I wouldn't like I don't know if I really had an idea of what it was going to be like. I kind of went into it just being like I'm going to make the most out of this and like whatever this looks like is what it looks like. And I think I maybe thought based on my background working in football prior to this that there was going to be a lot more barriers and a lot more like pushback on being here and that there was going to be a lot more like negative interaction, which I was very surprised to find out that like for the most part everyone's been like nothing more than supportive and wonderful. So it was almost like I psyched myself out a little bit thinking like I was going to have to like push back and like explain why I deserve to be here and all of that, and I didn't really have to do that. So that like mindset wise threw me for a little bit of a loop, but now I'm starting to like settle and just be like I can just coach. I don't have to worry about all the external and I can just like roll with it and be a coach.
On that front, Tanya, can you already sort of start to see the impact your hire with us has had on maybe other women wanting to work in pro football? Do you think you've played a part in maybe opening some doors there?
100%. I mean, I will never take like full credit because I think there's a lot more moving pieces to like things happening than just one person and one situation. But I mean, last year I was really excited to see a good friend of mine, Nadia, come on with the Ottawa Red Blacks, who is also returning this year as the second female in the CFL. So that was a really exciting time. As soon as Bob Dice got announced head coach, and I've said this before in interviews, I was like, I have a feeling he's going to be the next one to do it. And he did. So props to him. And I know Nadia's had a wonderful time and is obviously, again, back for a second year. But there's obviously been a bunch of like little things as well. Like I've seen the U18 girls tackle football, like national championship, which was something that I had my hand in before I came out here, like really blow up and really do amazing. And, the women's football team has been in Hamilton for the last 2 years. That is obviously adding a lot of opportunity and just like connection and networking to really, bring themselves together and like show that like, oh, it's not just like one or two people and it's not just like by chance that people are like, women are getting into football. It's like there actually is starting to be a pathway in that.
recording this on the week of International Women's Day, too, of course. What does that day mean to you, Tanya?
You know, I go back and forth, and like honestly, every year it means something a little bit different to me. I mean, in some aspects, like I'm like, why do we have to have this? Like, I really wish that this didn't need to be a thing. And I get like almost just like frustrated and just like annoyed that like it has to be a thing. But then on the other side of the coin, it's like, actually, this is very important because it does give a platform and a day to like really kind of showcase the amazing things that women have done. And like, you know, it's really only been, when you think about it, like what, over 100 or not even 100 years since women even had a right to vote. So like we're very disconnected from that, but at the same time, like 100 years or whatever, like that's not a lot of time. So it serves a really important purpose of like being able to showcase, you know, where women have come from, what have we have accomplished, and also like what still has to change and drawing some awareness. But my thing with it as well is like some people, some organizations, some spaces use it as like, oh, okay, well, we've like done something on International Women's Day, so we've checked the box. So like we don't have to worry about it for the other 364 days of the year. So to me, it's like the day is only as valuable as like what people are actually taking out of it and like moving through the rest of the year with.
And on that note, too, we've obviously announced the Women's Flag Football Clinic that you will be leading coming up this spring and potentially throughout the season, too. But just for those who haven't heard the announcement, just explain what it is and what your role will be with this clinic.
Yeah, so I'm working with our team to roll out a women's and girls flag football kind of clinic. We really just want to create a platform and a space just to like get women and girls together. And for me, it was really important to have like adult females as well as junior high school girls, because you want those junior high and high school girls to see like where they can go and what they can do, and that like them playing flag football has a future in their lives. So I think it's going to be a really unique opportunity for the BC Lions to connect with female fans in a different capacity than they have in the past, and also a really unique opportunity to like get some girls into flag football and like give them, you know, an awareness of football and an understanding of football in like their own space on their own terms.
Is helping the women who register for this clinic, is that the main thing that drew you into being involved in this clinic, or is there anything else that you're personally hoping to get out of this?
Honestly, like I know how much football has done for me. Like even prior to CFL, like football changed my entire life. So I just, you know, I had to like kind of search out that opportunity and like find it. And I just want like to be able to offer that to people without them having to search out and find it. It's like, oh no, just attend, like get access to the sport, see what it's like. And I just want it to be more accessible and more common so that, you know, even if it's one or two women out of this clinic are like, wait, like I want to be involved in football in a bigger capacity, like then that's wonderful. But like when it comes down to it, I just really want to be able to give to others what I've had the opportunity to have.
And I'm guessing that's the message if somebody's listening right now and they're on the fence about registering, that's the message you would tell them to actually make the action and sign up for this?
Yeah, like honestly, just try it. Like I remember when I first started playing football, the sign was like no experience necessary. And even as someone who had like a big background as an athlete and was like pretty comfortable with sports, I was like, oh, like I don't know anything about football. Like I don't think, like I know it says no experience necessary, but it's like literally like I'm so glad I made that decision and like just do it, because either you're going to go and you're going to be like, you know what, this isn't for me, or you're going to go and like it could change your entire trajectory of your life.
April 29th, that comes to an end. The finals in North Van, I believe another one in Surrey during the season. So look forward to seeing everyone come together once the clinic comes to an end as well. You mentioned a bit earlier briefly about the Combine coming up later this month, I think March 19th, something like that, in beautiful Winnipeg for 4 days. Winnipeg in March, gotta love that. But how proud are you to be representing, kidding aside here, how How proud are you to represent the club at the Combine? Very important piece of the draft process, of course, Tanya. That's a bit of an exciting new chapter for you as well.
Yeah, I was very excited last year to be part of the new format of the Combine, and I'm so ecstatic that it's back again this year. I just think by doing things in this way, we're offering opportunities for people and players, athletes to be seen who may not have otherwise. It's great to pull up a college film for an athlete, and it's great to see their testing numbers, but not all athletes come from the same background of coaching, opportunities and who they've been around coach wise and have they been taught. Sometimes it's just the most simple things get missed out on. So it's if we can provide just that a little bit of extra coaching and a little bit more extra information to these players to really see if they can be successful, I think that goes a really long way. And I think we're doing a disservice if we're not, because there's a lot of really amazing football players in Canada who have not come from the traditional youth sport route. We have Javon Katoy, who's a junior guy, who I'm always forever super jazzed about that, because I was involved in junior football in Edmonton, and I just think there's so many junior athletes that have so much to showcase, and we're not seeing it in whole. And I think Katoy is the perfect example of that, because he's Katoy, he's amazing. And we have athletes like Adrian Green, who came from the regional, weren't even involved in the original Combine. And we have guys like that we're possibly sleeping on and missing out on. And I think the Combine just gives so much opportunity to bring in the best athletes and give people opportunities that they might not have otherwise.
Well said. Nick, you're breaking some news to me here in your notes. There's a restaurant closing or something in Edmonton. What's going on?
Well, I had to bring this up. What's our plan going to be in Edmonton this year? We don't have Northern Chicken anymore. That was devastating to learn on Instagram this winter. So we need a new spot in Edmonton, because that's one of my favorite spots on the road, and it obviously closed. I think the other week, right?
Yeah, really recently. I was so sad. The first person I thought of you, actually. It was I don't even want to break this to Nick, but I think I found a new spot already.
Perfect. Yeah,
I never got invited to Northern Chicken, so I don't know.
It was Steven and I every time.
Don't understand. I was normally dining with Brent Frid at the Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, close by.
Rumor has it we're staying at a different hotel this year in Edmonton too. I'm not sure where it is location wise, but downtown.
There's only so many hotels.
Downtown Edmonton is all it's all in the same, right? But yeah, Brent Frid loved his prime rib dinner there at the Sherlock Holmes, so that's a good tradition for me.
Northern Chicken, I always remember they had this Dorito mac and cheese, and it was to die for. I would get 2 cups, and save one for later. It was.
Well, if it's so good, why did it close down?
I think a lot of people are asking that question.
Not enough BC Lions trips in 365 days, I guess, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Adapt. You'll adapt. You'll find something new. No, yep. See, my watch is trying to eavesdrop on this conversation. Tanya, well said. Always love getting you on. Continue doing your thing. Excellent pioneer in the world of Canadian football, and send us some photos from the desert while you're at it.
I will. I'm really gonna use this opportunity to step up my social media game. So. We'll have lots of footage.
Can't wait.
Awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Special thanks to Tanya Henderson, and yes, flag football. She's certainly doing her part to give back, helping coach up in this football clinic. BCLions.com for more info. Nikki, what would you do if you had $10,000 just in your desk drawer right now? Would you go on a trip? Would you go back to Vegas? Would you buy some Grey Cup tickets? What would you do?
That would afford me a trip to Vegas?
Well,
you get my joke.
Yeah.
But okay, to answer that, step 1, I would probably panic, and step 2, I would probably book a vacation to somewhere warm.
Well, I'll tell you what, our friends at Prospera Credit Union, official financial partner of the BC Lions, offering this exclusive opportunity for an interest-free line of credit. Plus, you would get $100 cash just for opening a bank account. That's just one of the many perks for becoming a member at Prospera Credit Union. For detailed information and to take advantage, you can visit the BC Lions website, bclions.com, directly to get more info on these perks with Prospera Credit Union. Also, the sponsor of the BC Lions Dome Field Advantage program, offering significant benefits for season ticket holders. This includes price freezes on upcoming season tickets, savings on your Grey Cup tickets for November of 2024, and early access to Grey Cup Festival tickets. We talked about the festival before we had Tanya on. New for this year in partnership with Prospera, as mentioned, interest-free line of credit and $100 cash when you open up your Prospera Credit Union account. Can't beat that. bclions.com for more info. It's our 70th season, Nick. We talked a bit about Legends Night earlier. Some of these great players in Lions lore will be celebrated. And we're going to do something different here. 6 more podcast episodes before we go to Kamloops for training camp. We're going to pay homage to our 6 Grey Cup championship teams. The first BC Lions Grey Cup winners, of course, came in 1964. CNE Stadium, Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, was the backdrop for a BC Lions 34-24 win over Hamilton, avenging a loss at Empire Stadium to the same Tiger Cats in 1963. And I've watched snippets of this. You watched it for the first time. What stood out here?
What stood out? And are you talking the Grey Cup game specifically?
Yeah, just anything about that year.
The Bob Swift was a name that I had not heard of, and I discovered doing my research on this and doing my homework, as you could say, watching this game. And Bill Munsey is another name. So yeah. Bill Munsey, for those who don't know, he was a defensive back for the Lions primarily. Didn't really have many offensive statistics going into the 1964 Grey Cup, but Bob Swift, and 1,000-yard rusher that season. He was a fullback primarily. He broke his leg at the start of the second quarter. And the crazy thing is, I'm watching it, and he gets up, and then he gets helped off the field by then equipment manager at the time, Bob Ackles.
Of course.
Helping off the field. And then Bill Munsey comes in, has a big opening carry. The Lions actually, they go for a field goal in that drive, and they botch it. And Pete Oler picks up the botch snap and throws a touchdown to Jim Carfin. So that just made it an interesting game right there. But Munsey ended up scoring twice in that game. He filled in for Bob Swift, and Munsey scored once on a rush and a nice cutback run. And then his second touchdown came 5 minutes later in real time on a fumble recovery. So Bill Munsey was someone who big time players make big time plays in big time moments, and he fit that bill for the Lions. And then obviously Joe Kapp and Willie Fleming too in that season. Yeah,
the revenge factor, of course. Angelo Mosca with the late hit in 63 out of bounds, and that caused a decades-long rift, as we saw in 2011 here with those two fighting each other, the canes swinging and everything on the stage during some alumni event at the convention center. We talked a little bit about that. And I noticed this when watching on YouTube as well. The Lions changed jerseys at halftime.
They did. There was a lot of funny things that happened in this game. I made a little list just of how football was in the 1960s. I guess you want me to go through some of these funny things that I noticed?
Sure, fire away.
So when they do, I think they should bring this back. The first thing, when the teams get introduced, they introduce the offense, and when the players get introduced, they went onto the field in their position. So the left tackle came on in one of the left tackle spot. Then everybody came on in their spots, and then they all lined up together and just ran a play, like at the middle of the field where everybody was watching. I thought that was kind of cool. One thing that just blew my mind. So at the end of the game, I counted this after because I thought it was so bizarre. But from the time the clock hit 0, so from the time the BC Lions won the Grey Cup, it took 70 seconds for the CFL to hand them the literal Grey Cup trophy on the field.
Yeah.
So like the Grey Cup trophy is coming onto the field while they're out doing like their big doggy paw kind of thing. And I don't know who handed the cup to Norm Fieldgate, but it was 70 seconds after the game ended. They already got the Grey Cup. And then if you watch the full broadcast.
Very informal ceremony back then, yes.
But if you watch the full broadcast too, they got Don Whitman and out there in the locker room. interviewing all the players, and that was really cool to see right after it. There's like the lens is fogging up from champagne. It's right after. So there's just a lot of funny things in that game that made me laugh about just how football was played back in the 1960s.
Yeah, I love watching the old history, and you talk to anyone who was around, and there were those CFL Traditions DVDs that came out about 20 years ago, and I have a BC Lions one in my possession. That was a big deal in the city, a championship parade, something this city hadn't seen before on a scale like that. Of course, just the first title in season 11, it would have been 1954. Is when the Lions started rolling, and I love that. Just those old rivalries again, the Ticats, and that would have been a neat environment being in Toronto, so Hamilton's right next door. You figure Hamilton probably had the home field advantage in the 64 Grey Cup, and yeah, you listed these names, Willie Fleming, Bob Swift, Jim Carfin, who I think still lives in Vancouver, one of the more prominent BC Lion alumni, and yeah, very special.
Yeah, and there's some poor Hamilton defensive back in the second quarter that was victimized by a Willie Fleming cutback for, I think it was a 46-yard touchdown run in the DB. It was a muddy game. That's why they did switch the jerseys too. Per the YouTube comments, I don't know how credible this is, but apparently Bob Ackles brought the second pair of jerseys that they wore from their first era, the 1954 to 1963 range, and they changed into those in the second half. But,
crazy.
Yeah, some Hamilton DB got a little messy on the mud because he got juked out bad by Willie Fleming in the second quarter. So that was also cool seeing how dominant Willie Fleming was back in the day.
Yeah, would love to hop in a DeLorean and go back in time and watch some of those guys live. Great legends and great BC Lions. And on our next First and Now, we'll talk about another Lions Ticats Grey Cup, 1985. Again, we'll do a bit of a dive on all of the Grey Cup champions for your BC Lions on the coming episodes of First and Now. Before we're out of here today, a little go for it or punt, one of our new favorite segments. Nick, what are you going for here?
Snow. This is probably a controversial
snow
take.
Again. There you go.
My Prairie Boy is coming back out in me, but I was out and around the Cypress Hills, or that's what it's called, right? Cypress Provincial Park in West Vancouver area.
Cypress Mountain.
I was out there, kind of did like a little impromptu hike, and I knew it was going to be snowy, but it was like deep snow, so it made it a little difficult. But I was having so much fun in there. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was such a beautiful hike for one. It was the place was called Brothers Creek Loop. And brother, let me tell you, it was a little tough, and then that deep snow, but got it done. It was a lot of fun, and I just like. And the thing that I'll say about this too, it's not a cold snow. It's -5 is not cold. I'll put that out there. So
it wasn't at all. Yeah.
Yeah, when it's like that weather and there's snow on the ground, I love it, and it goes away quick. We've talked about it all the time, so I was enjoying myself this weekend with that snowfall.
Yeah, there's a little kid in all of us. I still get a little giddy when a little snowfall comes, assuming I don't have to spend the day trying to drive somewhere. So
that's the kicker.
Good job. I'm going for. We'll turn to TV here. The Dynasty New England Patriots documentary on Apple TV. Outstanding stuff. This was kind of my era, right? I was, around the turn of the century. I was graduating high school and the Patriots' first Super Bowl, even though I'm not a Patriots fan at all, but it's the nostalgia for me. And you just forget how much, I don't know how much of this you remember, you forget what they all went through.
I remember it all.
But benching Drew Bledsoe and going with the unproven Tom Brady, you don't remember how big a deal that was. Like, there was no social media back then, and the first couple of episodes document that part about how even when Drew Bledsoe was cleared to play, Brady was struggling. Belichick stuck with Brady, and that was kind of a shocking thing at the time. So gets into the whole Spygate stuff and the Aaron Hernandez tragedy and that whole situation. That was the recent episode. But if you're looking for something to watch, Dynasty.
It was on my radar, and you've put it to the top.
Highly
of my
recommend
list,
it.
So.
They drop 2 episodes every Thursday, and there's 6 in now. So you got some binging to do if you want to catch up.
Okay,
so
we'll call that my homework for next episode. We can talk about it more. But I do the first kind of memories I have of football in the NFL are the first Super Bowl I remember. That you'll probably laugh at this, but it's the Steelers and Seahawks.
Yeah,
and then obviously the Patriots and Giants came just 2 years after that, right? So the first kind of memories I have are I never liked I was more of a Colts guy, so I naturally didn't like the Patriots, and I was so happy to see them lose that Giants game whenever I was like a little teenager, or not even a teenager yet. But yeah, those were just really fascinating NFL days.
Okay, what are you punting?
Trade deadlines. NHL one's coming up. All the good stuff happens before them. I don't know how you fix that. You probably can't, because I think it's probably smart for these GMs to do this. But
I mean, yeah, it seems to me the NHL draft has kind of become that major event now where you're on your edge of your seat wondering what transactions might happen. And yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the salary cap obviously has played a role. The team we follow, the Canucks, they've made their moves, we think, although they're supposedly in on Jake Gensel. I don't know how they're going to make that work, parting with more assets, but we shall see. Just look at the list of the last 20 Stanley Cup champions and what that team did at the deadline. It's not much. So
yeah,
you're absolutely
like you
right.
said, they got Zadorov and Lindholm already, and those are two major parts this season, right? Or they're hoping that they'll become major parts for the rest of the season. So the move's already done.
All right, I hate to do this, but had an experience on the weekend. It was lovely overall, but I kind of hated myself for it after. Tortilla chips and salsa before the main course at a Mexican restaurant. You know, my age, you got to start watching what you put in your body. Might have to start punting that, Nick, especially when you get a big chicken burrito as the main course. Now, do I regret it now? No. At the time, maybe, but just something you got to save room for the main course. I went for some lovely Mexican in Kits on Saturday and had 2 margaritas as well.
Fills you right up.
The sugar intake is
I hear you though, but it's at the time it's tough to have that self-control, right? I find when you go to Mexican restaurants and when you go to like Italian restaurants too, you get like that bread beforehand. It is tough to not feast on that before your main entree comes. But yeah, I have a bit of a love-hate with that one too. I feel that you always feel terrible after, but you feel great when you're doing it. So,
all right. Will I do it again next time? Probably.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
First and now, be sure to subscribe, rate, leave a review. Thanks to Tanya Henderson for joining us again. BCLions.com for info on how to secure your Grey Cup tickets. Dome Field Advantage presented by Prospera Credit Union. And game themes. It's all happening. Let us know at BakesTakes84 on X. He is at Nick_Kowalski. What game theme are you jacked up for? And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Good job.
All things combined coming up.
All right, football's here, baby.